he's that guy in that thing, you know?
Yeah.
You see that thing that guy was in? He was
with the
that
place
guy.
and the people.
With the people. They had eyes. I don't know. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not Your Father's Movies. I'm Mike.
And I'm Jesse. We are some dad fathers coming at you with some quiet energy. And we are here joined by two special guests. It's really hard to be quiet.
Gotta whisper, or the monsters are going to get you.
Yeah, two special guests. Who are here special. They're here to talk quietly with us. What is Letteney? Been on the show before. Hi, guys. And Dom. Returning guest, Dom. Yeah.
Guys, I would sign my name, but I don't know ASL for one, and it's a podcast for two, so I'm Dom. Hey, guys.
Yeah. I've heard ASL does not translate very well over podcast.
It's you can hear the wind going by. I'm talking in a normal voice today because I'm in my special padded bunker here, and the reason why I'm in my special padded bunker talking to you not in a whisper today where other people are is that today we are doing A Quiet Place Part 1. Woo. Or just A Quiet Place. Is this A Quiet Place Part 1 now? Did they change the name officially?
I don't think so, but it makes sense for us to call it Part 1 because we're also going to be talking about Part 2.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing the first one of two movies so far, and this is the beginning of a very spooky Halloween. We actually have a bunch of spooky movies for this October that we're very excited about, and this is the first in that series. I wonder what the second one's going to be. Letteney, do you think you can guess what the second movie is going to be?
Is it another Part 2?
Maybe it's a Part 2.
A Part 2?
No. So the first is A Quiet Place Part 1. What do you think the second movie is going to be?
It's hard to say.
All right. So, A Quiet Place Part 1.
I think you're being too quiet about it.
Too quiet, too furious. I don't know. All right. So, Jesse, why are we doing these movies?
I don't actually know, other than the fact that, like, The Quiet Place seems like a big deal right now. You know? It seems like a big deal, and this is, like, spook. You know what? You know what the real reason is? Like, I think, at least speaking for myself, and partly for Mike, we don't like horror movies. It's really Vito that likes horror movies. And these were some of the few horror movies that were, like, intro level enough for us to like, so we're doing them.
I think that's very true for me. Yeah. It's definitely, my mom likes this movie, you know, like this is a very, a lot of people like them, and there's a lot here to like. I mean, Jim Halpert's in it, you know, we all love Jim. Jim. and there's a lot of father themes in it, a lot of family themes, right?
Yeah. It's very dad.
Yeah.
I can say that about it. It's very dad and very popular. So we're like, you know, it's October. Why not? Yeah. And unfortunately, Vito isn't here with us today because he got captured. He was too noisy. The monsters got him, and he's no longer here. So love you, Vito.
Loser.
See you on the other side, loser.
See you on the other side of life because you're dead now.
He's probably watching a horror movie way too loud in his fancy new speakers or something.
Something like that. Well, with that, Dom, I know. So another part of the reason here is that Dom is a huge fan. You're a huge fan of these movies, right, Dom?
Yes, I'm a massive fan.
Okay. Well, with that being the case, do you want to go through some cast and crew for us here?
Of course, I will gladly take over the Vito cast and crew section. Yeah. So, as you mentioned, Jim Halpert is in this movie. He also directed, and he co-wrote, and he executive produced this movie. John Krasinski has directed 4 movies at this point. The first 2 are Brief Interviews with Hideous Men and The Haulers, and this is the 3rd, and then A Quiet Place Part 2 is the 4th, and he has been in all of those, and he's directed, written, and produced all of them. I've not seen the first 2. Have you guys even? And I know nothing about those 2 movies also. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I know Interviews with Hideous Men. I know that's like a David Foster Wallace short story.
It's a collection.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bunch of different. I'm about halfway through it. I heard the adaptation is not very good.
That is also what I've heard, which is why I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, sad. Well, This movie also is. So this is the first big movie that he did, and this is the first movie he did for a major studio, which is probably why none of us have seen those 2 movies. But John Krasinski also executive produced Manchester by the Sea with Casey Affleck, and he, apart from The Office, he's also been in 30 Rock as himself. He's been in BoJack Horseman, and he was Jack Ryan himself. And he's also been in Jarhead, Dreamgirls, It's Complicated, Detroit, and he had a voice cameo in Free Guy, which came out this year, and which is hilarious, by the way. So you guys should see it if you haven't.
I have not, but I will check it out.
Yeah.
Also, he was executive producer of Manchester by the Sea. That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
Although, now that I'm hearing or seeing all of his filmography in one place, he seems to be a very serious dude and is going very heavily away from comedy and The Office and anything like that, and more into generational drama between children and their parents.
Yeah, it's kind
of that and action stuff.
Oh, Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan,
I don't like Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was also in wasn't he in the Benghazi movie or something?
Yeah, I forgot to mention
yeah.
13 Hours. Yeah, that's another one.
Wasn't that that was his breakout role when people were like, "Oh my gosh, Jim can kill people,
Can act and kill people.
Yeah. He grew the beard.
Oh, his first major movie though. Before that, wasn't it it was a George Clooney movie? What is it?
Leatherheads?
Leatherheads? Yeah, about him playing college football. I remember being kind of disappointed by that one too.
Okay,
I love John Krasinski in The Office, and I think I've been disappointed by him until A Quiet Place.
I mean, he's great in BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, but
most people are.
He's hardly in it.
Yeah.
He's never had a disappointing voice.
Yeah,
That's true. Actually,
great.
His voice is great. The first 2 things I saw him in, being a child for most of the early 2000s, I first heard his voice in Monsters vs. Aliens, and then I heard his voice in Monsters University, which is kind of weird that he was in both of those. He has very small roles in both of them. And I was like, who's that guy? He's the guy that with his girlfriend discovers the alien invasion, and he breaks his leg, and his leg twists around.
Oh yeah, the jock guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great moment. Yeah. So he also wrote this one?
Yes, he's credited as a co-writer of the screenplay, along with 2 other writers, Brian Woods and Scott Beck, who are the writers who are credited as the story writers as well. And I'm pretty sure that just means that they wrote the script a bunch of times before he came on board. You can actually find their original script, and it's very short and it's very different, but it has a lot of the same essential beats. All the characters have different names, but it's really cool the way they work different elements into the script that are unique when you're talking about script formatting, which can be pretty boring, but they spice it up by making things different sizes and different fonts and stuff like that. So it's really engaging script because there's no dialogue whatsoever in the original script. So they find really unique ways of spicing it up, which I really like.
You sent it to us earlier. I read a little bit of it, but yeah, it was striking that it was just kind of direction and expressing sort of we need to have them showing these different emotions, these different relationships through their actions, which definitely I think filtered through into the movie, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. And just for reference, so that original script is 68 pages. The average script is between 90 and 120 pages, and dialogue-heavy movies like Aaron Sorkin movies can be about 300 pages.
Well, it makes sense then. There was hardly any dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, and I read the script last night, and there's one part where I can't remember exactly the sequence, but they're using what you're talking about, where they're trying to make something dramatic. And there's like 5 or 6 pages in a row with just one word per page.
Yeah.
That are in different fonts. So it's not even really 68 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like they're taking the writing style of, what's his face? Mark.
Mark C. Danielewski, my dude.
Yeah, Mark C. Danielewski. He does
it's
the
a House of
same
Leaves,
thing in his books.
Oh,
It's
okay.
genuinely exciting, intense at times, and also very bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, House of Leaves, check that one out. That one's a great horror novel, actually.
Letteney, have you never read House of Leaves?
I've heard of it, never read it. I'll have to
Oh
check
my
it out.
gosh, you need to read it. I want to know what you think of it.
Oh, just since we're recommending this officially on the pod, don't be an idiot and read it the way I did, which is the way you should normally read books, which is cover to cover. There are 2 separate stories going on, and the fonts change when it happens, so you know when it's happening.
Okay.
And it's like the footnotes. So I was reading it the same way I read Infinite Jest, which is just like, all right, footnote, all right, let's go to the footnote.
Yeah.
No. Don't. You have to skip it. You skip the pages, and then you continue on with your story, and then you go back and reread it.
Okay, read it first
Only
without-
suckers read books cover to cover.
You gotta go. It's also got some adult themes. Just heads up, but it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, it's
in
more
the
the
end.
second story that ends up being about a guy with some sexcapades that he has. But the first one is the genuine horror part, in my opinion.
Aren't there 3 stories in it? You know what? That's okay. That's all right. We're not talking
Whoa,
about House of
wait.
Leaves. We're talking about A Quiet Place Part 1 here. Okay, so written by Brian Woods and Scott Beck, who are just known for this, and they're also known for Part 2, sort of, right? But other than that, they don't really have anything. Is that
It's
right?
kind of hard to find information on what they've done. I was on their Wikipedia pages, and some of their movies don't even have pages.
okay?
And some of their movies, it's like a full screen of information and nothing else. So it's really hard to figure out
Interesting. Yeah.
what these guys are like. I do know that they're currently working on a movie called 65, which is a sci-fi thriller starring Adam Driver, and is being produced by Sam Raimi. They're writing and directing that. So
Ooh, that
Sam
sounds
Raimi's on
interesting.
board, so that could be pretty promising. It's about an astronaut who lands on a alien planet and realizes that he's not alone.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'll watch Adam Driver do that. That sounds fun.
I'm always down for Adam Driver.
Yeah, you tell
I
me
know what
Adam
I have to
Driver,
do.
I'm
I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
in.
You help me?
Well, okay. You know what? I'm just going to come. I like him in Star Wars. I do. I think he's all right.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, everyone agrees that he's the best part of that trilogy.
I didn't even know everybody agreed on that. I'm happy
Yeah.
everybody says that. That's cool. We're going to talk about Star Wars another day. So they did the writing and the story, and then John Krasinski also produced it.
Yes, and it's also, weirdly enough, also produced by Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's obviously best known for Transformers 1 through 5. He's the 4th most highest grossing director of all time, after Steven Spielberg, the Russo brothers, and Peter Jackson. And he's worked with John Krasinski a couple of other times. He directed 13 Hours that we mentioned earlier, and he's one of the producers on Jack Ryan. So it kind of makes sense that he was supporting John Krasinski on this movie by producing. And actually, the sound team that worked on this movie is the sound team that worked on all the Transformers movies. So that's pretty
interesting.
cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
There's a lot less sound in this one than there was in
There's
the
a lot less
Transformers
sound, yeah.
movies. Yeah. Interesting.
But it
Interesting.
sounds
But it's
good.
it's
For
a
what's
lot
up.
more meaningful. Yeah.
But it sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. And it was nominated for an Academy Award in Best in Sound Editing, right? But
Yes,
it did
the
not
only-
win. Yeah, that was the only nomination. But
Only
it lost.
nomination. Yeah.
But
it lost to
but it-
Bohemian Rhapsody for some reason.
I didn't see Bohemian Rhapsody. A lot of people were disappointed in it, right?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a pretty good movie, but I have no idea how this movie didn't win the Sound Award.
I heard it was the queen of biopics. Glad I
That's a
got
good
at
one.
least a chuckle.
I like that one.
Okay, so then the last crew member I wanted to bring up is Marco Beltrami, who is the composer, who you guys have mentioned several times because he likes to work with James Mangold. So I think you guys brought him up on 3:10 to Yuma. He also did Logan and Ford v Ferrari and World War Z, and he did this and Part 2 and Hellboy #1 actually with Guillermo del Toro. He's one of my favorite composers. I think he's phenomenal.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty good in this one.
Oh yeah.
Like the music in this one is always spot on or it's silent, and it's great. It really sets the mood.
This movie has a really small cast. There are only 6 of them in the credits. So besides John Krasinski, fun fact. So John Krasinski plays Lee Abbott, but he also plays someone else. Can you guys guess who that is? He has a cameo in this movie besides playing Lee Abbott.
Oh man,
There's someone else in this movie?
Here, I mean, there's. Don't tell me he was
Doesn't
the old
he?
man.
Doesn't he do the
No.
body capture for the monster?
That's it, yeah. He plays the aliens. He did motion capture.
Oh, no way.
Whoa.
I didn't know that.
Oh, so
That's awesome.
Does that mean he's credited in Part 2 as well?
Well, he is in Part 2.
Well,
right?
he is in Part 2. Yeah.
He's in Part 2. He's not credited as the aliens. That's just something I found while I was reading up on this.
That's cool.
But so he plays Lee Abbott, and we don't hear any of their names in this movie, so we only know that his name is Lee from the credits. Evelyn Abbott, the wife, is played by John Krasinski's real life wife, Emily Blunt, who I love. I think she's amazing. She's one of my favorite actors. I first found her in Edge of Tomorrow. And I fell in love with her. She's so good. She's so good. Rita Vertasky, aka the Full Metal Bitch.
It's great.
She's also in The Devil Wears Prada, Charlie Wilson's War, Looper, Into the Woods, Sicario, Mary Poppins Returns, and this year she was in Jungle Cruise. She won the Golden Globe for Gideon's Daughter, and she also won the Screen Actors Guild Award for this movie. She won Best Supporting Actress for A Quiet Place at the SAG.
It's kind of weird that it's Best Supporting Actress, but did you guys see Jungle Cruise yet? Any of you guys?
No.
Are you going to see it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I've heard, it sounds like it's a fun time. So probably if I'm in the mood for something that's light and stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point.
So I turned it on in the background the other day, and you know what? It was a little bit better than it was like Pirates of the Caribbean, which is everyone, but it was better than 4 and 5. I think it was worse than 3. Good. It was like in between. Well, I don't know if that's a selling point for you, Jesse, but she was good. You know,
yeah, but it seems like
great.
It's got 2 charismatic leads, and like unlike the third Pirates movie, it's not bogged down by all this plot beforehand. So I don't know, maybe it could be good.
And I mean, she and The Rock have surprising charisma together. Yeah.
All right. So, did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah.
Did they become like romantically linked? Are they romantically linked?
You know, you're gonna have to watch it. I can't tell you.
I mean, has The Rock ever been romantic in a movie? Seems like he's always just an action star.
Well, he wasn't an action star in The Tooth Fairy.
Right, but he wasn't. But he sort of was, right?
Yeah, no, he definitely always has witty banter with his co-stars, but they're often male.
Yeah.
And obviously he's not going to be romantic with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, I feel like anyone could if they wanted to. Maybe that's why Vin Diesel hates him.
It's because they're family.
But it would just kill me if Emily Blunt. See, like once John Krasinski is with somebody, it's weird if they're with anybody else.
Especially since we see them on screen as a couple.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Millicent Simmons as Regan Abbott, who before this she had only been in a movie called Wonderstruck, and she is actually deaf in real life, so she does converse in ASL in real life, and she's about 18 years old, and then of course she's also in Part 2 after this.
Oh, so she was 15 in the movie.
15, yes, 14. 14 or 15 when they filmed. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, she's
She's
a really
great.
good actress for how
Oh, she's
young
so
she
good.
is. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about this as much, but like, yeah, usually 14, 15-year-olds can be really awkward, and she never felt awkward on screen. She felt very natural all the way through. That's really cool.
Yeah, and she also I think for me at least she avoided the stereotypical rebellious teen. She definitely is rebellious to a certain extent, but she never came across as annoying to me. I never thought, oh come on man, you're being whatever. I always believed in what she was doing and in why she was doing what she was doing.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't set the far. Like, I feel like in many other movies in this setting, like the whole cornfield would have been set on fire or something.
Yeah, that's fair. And then as her brother, it's Noah Jupe.
Noah Jupe.
Is that Noah Jupe?
He's
Noah
a young
Jupe.
French. He's a Frenchman.
He's primarily just been child up until this, right? Like just
Yes,
sort of
he's been son or younger or boy version of someone else. He's a British actor. He's about 14 or 15 right now. He's been in a lot actually. He's been in episodes of Downton Abbey and Penny Dreadful, and he's been in Suburbicon and Wonder, which is a super sweet movie. He's really good in Wonder, and he's Christian Bale's son in Ford v Ferrari. He's young Shia LaBeouf in Honey Boy, and he's also in No Sudden Move from this year, which I haven't seen, but maybe you guys can tell me about that.
Oh yeah,
small part, but yeah, definitely important.
yeah,
Nice.
He does a good job.
Oh, is he the son in the family that gets?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Don't spoil.
Yes.
I mean, I think that part's in the trailer, but
He's that guy in that thing, you know?
yeah,
You see that thing that guy was in? He was
with the
that
place
guy.
and the people.
With the people. They had eyes. I don't know.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think he's great in this movie, and I think he's great. He's been great in everything I've seen him in so far. So I'm very curious to see what he does next.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last of the Abbott family is Kade Woodward, right?
Yes, Kade Woodward. He plays the youngest son who, spoiler alert, hopefully everyone has seen A Quiet Place. He dies in the opening scene. And then a year after this... Big spoiler, yeah. And then a year after this, he plays another youngest son of a family of 5 where he dies in the opening scene. It's Avengers Endgame. He plays Nathaniel Barton, of course, gets snapped away in the opening scene of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. He's very good at it.
Cool. Yeah, he's great.
Could you imagine? He's got to be less than 10, and his first 2 movies are A Quiet Place and Avengers Endgame. That is insane.
Is he related to Sean Bean?
Yeah.
He must be.
Awesome.
Yeah. So then the final cast member who's credited is the man in the woods, played by a man named Leon Russell, who is in The Big Lebowski as the Malibu police chief. And I just rewatched The Big Lebowski, and I have no idea who this character is. So
he gets interrogated by the police at one point. It must be that.
Yeah,
guy.
I remember the character, but he doesn't look anything like him.
It's been a while
He
since
really
The Big
contorts
Lebowski.
his face in this one. You know,
Yeah,
it's with the chin and the scrunch up, and then like, and the lips get crushed together. He's got a giant beard. It's like, where did his face go? How did he do that?
yeah,
His face just becomes a mouth.
his face is amazing. He's kind of like he's kind of like one of the monsters because they are just mouth, basically mouth and ears.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor, guys.
But
awesome.
that has to be intentional. All right.
He's also in True Grit. He plays the sheriff. I haven't seen True Grit in a while, but you guys have, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's him.
Neat.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, he just like gives Maddie Ross advice and then walks away.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the one who gives her like the 3 bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
No, he's just
Does
like
he have-
been in.
does he have a
bit
beard
parts.
in that?
I don't think he had a beard in it, but I do not remember.
A mustache. He had a mustache or goatee type thing going on.
Nice. Okay,
And,
so that's everyone I have for cast and crew. I also just wanted to do one more Vito-esque note. This movie is made on a budget of $17 million, and they predicted originally that it was going to make like $20 million on the opening weekend, but it actually made $50 million on the opening weekend, and it ended at $350 million, which is
amazing.
over 20 times the budget.
Yeah,
this is when you realize why they made part 2.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, what if you do that? How can you not make part 2, right? I saw that there was one other uncredited person in this movie, and nobody else in the whole movie. A lady named Rhoda Pell, who I looked up on IMDb, and it's just a list of like a bunch of YouTube shorts. And can you guess who she played? I guess this is a sidebar or a game. Can you guess who Rhoda Pell plays in A Quiet Place?
Does she play the corpse?
Oh, she plays the corpse. You got it! Hooray!
There's only so many people here. So many faces that we see.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing they actually hired someone to play the corpse. Like, I didn't. Yeah.
And she only was like on set for probably an hour or two because she's only in one shot.
She was just like walking by. I was like, "Hey, I know how to play a corpse really well. Can I just like
I do my own makeup and everything."
Down. I've done a few times already. It's awesome.
Oh
yeah. Do we even see her face?
We do.
Okay.
We see her face, but then as it's panning down to her lower half, you can see a bunch of blood. And then
it was like a big gash or something.
I thought it was half of her body.
Oh, was it?
That's what I assumed it was. Which raises a lot of questions about those aliens. Do they only eat the lower half of you?
Oh, I wasn't sure if she was cut in half or if she was just sliced open because you start to see some guts and then it cuts away.
Yeah. You don't see ground below her upper torso. You just don't see below her upper torso.
Yeah.
So it's a question.
It was a question. I just assumed like, oh, she's missing half of herself. I don't know. That's where my mind went. I was like, thank you for not showing that. Thank you for making us question this, John Krasinski.
Well, that's actually a question I had this time around because I always just sort of thought in my mind that they ate people, but do we actually ever see them eating anyone, or do they just sort of slice them up, mess them up, and then leave?
I don't think I saw them eat a single person myself, but I also don't see very many dead bodies hanging out.
Yeah, there are no corpses around.
Yeah. There's no skeletons.
Yeah, I would think that there'd be more, like you would see more blood splatter and like corpses around in general if they were just leaving people. Like that whole town is empty.
Yeah, it's probably a question we will never know the answer to because these movies are PG-13.
Since it's a series now, I bet there's going to be a lot of them. I bet we're going to get some backstory into why these things are here. It may suck at that point, but I bet we're going to get it.
Yeah, they're going to build a whole universe. I bet a whole Quiet Place extended universe, right?
The Quiet Verse.
The QPEU.
Yeah, I mean, like they can go to outer space with it too. Like they could be like, we're gonna take it back to like the homeland, and they like go through outer space, and they have.
We're
to
taking the noise to them.
A quiet world. Yeah, we're taking the noise to them. I love that.
In space, everybody hears you scream.
So is there any more cast and crew here to go through, or should we jump into nostalgia or first impressions? I don't know if
I'm down to go to first impressions if you are.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so jumping into nostalgia, let's go. Dom, what is your nostalgia with this movie?
Yeah, my nostalgia started in, I think it must have been my first semester of my freshman year at college when I first saw the trailer, and I thought, oh wow, this looks really cool. This is completely different from anything I've seen before. And I wasn't really a horror guy at that point, but I was starting to watch horror movies. So I saw Get Out that year. I saw It that year in the movie theaters, and I thought, okay, yeah, no, I'll totally go see that. And then, so my expectations were pretty high. And then when I saw it, it must have been the first week or the second week it came out. It completely exceeded my expectations, and I loved it instantly. And it became, and still is to this day, my favorite movie of that year. I had no problems with it. I loved almost everything about it, and I still do. I kind of adore this movie. So that's
awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Did we go see this movie together?
No, I don't think so. I saw it with a couple of friends of mine
Okay.
from college.
You didn't go see it with Vito?
No,
Because I
no,
think
I
I
didn't.
saw it with Vito. Okay. That's cool. So is this nostalgia or first impressions with it? Are you like, those good old days when A Quiet Place Part 1 came out? Or is it like, just great, like just a great time? I don't know.
I think it kind of, no, I think it kind of is nostalgia because I just graduated college and now I'm in the big world on my own, and that's one of the movies that I saw freshman year that really stuck with me and that I really cherished. And I just remember telling all my friends about it and just trying to get it to people. Like you mentioned, it being sort of an entry level horror movie. I sort of use that to try and get other people to watch it. Like, oh, it's a family drama, it's a thriller, but it's so good, and I just loved it so much. I was enthralled, and I was scared, and I laughed and I cried. Oh my gosh, yeah, I love this movie so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Jesse, what about you? What's your nostalgia with this?
All right, so I can't say I have nostalgia for it. I saw it in June.
Oh, back in June.
All the way.
Those halcyon days.
Those great summer days. Yeah, so I was taking a trip in Sedona with my parents, and my mom was just like, I want to watch a movie tonight. You know what movie we really like? Your dad and I, we really like A Quiet Place. So let's watch A Quiet Place. It's like, oh, sure. I've heard great things about it. I haven't watched it. Yeah, and it was about what I was expecting. I really enjoyed it. It was it occupies that weird space where I enjoyed it with my parents, which is not something I think I could ever do with horror movies. So that's strange. It's strange, and I like this movie for that reason, that it can like branch the generational divide, I guess, and still be appealing to everybody because it feels very much like a movie that almost is made for our generation, with how gritty it is, because we love grit apparently. Yeah, we just everything that we love is just seeping in grit, and that's not true. But when it comes to post-apocalyptic movies, that is true. We've become post-apocalyptic movie snobs because there have been, between The Walking Dead and just countless zombie movies and stuff like that, I feel like we're expecting we have to be kind of wowed with post-apocalyptic movies. And I was just like, oh, this is really cool. That nobody's like angsty or like pining for the old days and getting really angsty for that. That's like a standard trope at this point, and nobody was like that in this one. It felt very different. Oh yeah, and then so instead of seeing this movie that year it came out, I saw Bird Box, which
Oh.
yeah.
Wait, did that come out that same year?
Yeah.
Same year, yeah.
Really? Weird.
Yeah. And, my coworkers were talking about this one, and Bird Box. It's like, oh, I'll see Bird Box because it's free. And Bird Box, I thought it stunk. I did not like Bird Box in the slightest. It's the same basic concept, except you can't see it.
Yeah.
And so I had held off on watching this one, and such a shame because I wish I had seen this in theaters because I really like this movie. And that's what I've got for first impressions or nostalgia from years ago, back when my life was basically the same.
Back in the old days. What about you,
Back in good old June.
Yeah, I don't really have any nostalgia for this movie. I mean, I did see it back in 2018. I don't remember the particulars of like where I saw it or who with, or I just remember loving it. And then, I think I've seen it. I think this is the third time I've seen it since then, because I rewatched this one before I watched the second one in theaters. So I think it's a great movie. I think when we think about like the pantheon of great movies, there's a lot of movies that it seems like tell stories in a similar way, where there's a lot of variety in that mode of storytelling. But it seems like if a movie can tell a story in a unique way or make a film in a unique way, it's almost like a shortcut to being a great movie. Jesse and I recently watched, or for me was rewatching Locke, which is such a great movie. And that whole movie takes place in a car, and the whole movie is just phone calls. And so having a unique, I don't know what the word is, storytelling device. It just makes it stand out. It makes it something unique. And there's movies that are like that, like Buried, which are unique but not very good. So it seems like if you can have a unique way to tell a story and execute it well, that's a shortcut to jump to the top of the list of memorable movies. So.
Oh, and also Buried, starring Ryan Reynolds, I think. It's him making a bunch of phone calls in a coffin because he's been buried alive in Afghanistan or something like that. And he's trying to be saved.
Oh my gosh.
It's really intense and also very claustrophobic because he's in a coffin the whole time. Yeah, but it's not very good.
No, that's not very good.
Yeah.
But it is memorable.
I'll never forget that one. Yeah, I think this movie does have the memorable part, but also I think it has what Dom was talking about, where it's got like the multiple genre thing.
Yeah,
you can introduce this movie as like a family drama, which is also what my parents really loved about it. At least my mom. That's what motivated her to like want to watch it with us, because that's very heavily in there. In fact, it's mostly about drama. It just has this stuff going on as like salad dressing, basically.
Yeah, and also in addition to the I guess gimmick, if we want to call it that, but the design of the movie with it being about sound, it also is just a very simple movie, and it's very elegant and it's very well told. And there are basically four characters and one opponent, and it's only an hour and a half, and those are just all things that I like and appreciate. And when you can do a simple thing and do it very well, I just love that.
Yeah, and the simplicity of all the like, the kind of thriller, horror, post-apocalyptic family drama components are all very simple but interwoven like seamlessly together to the point where like it's hard to really call it out as any one of those things almost.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. Like, I think I'd say it's funny because you'd say like if it doesn't really work, you'd say it's a gimmick, but if it does work, I think that we say it's like it's a conceit or something, or like it's the mode, like the mode of the movie or
the
something.
Mode,
something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, and just to be clear, when I say gimmick, I don't mean it as a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's
no, for sure.
It's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like this is this movie's thing. It's that they can't talk.
Yeah. I think I saw this in the theaters, I think with Vito, if I'm remembering correctly. But as I've said many times, I have the memory of a sieve. I don't remember anything. So Vito, if I didn't see it with you, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I saw it. A sieve, like the thing that like the.
You're like a pasta strainer.
Yeah, like a pasta strainer. I have the memory of a pasta strainer. I couldn't remember the name of.
I thought it was an animal.
No,
what's a
it's
sieve?
definitely a sieve.
Yeah.
I'm racking my brain, like going through all the Planet Earth episodes I've ever seen. David Attenborough has to have covered a sieve before. It just forgot what it's doing again. All right, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no. So it was fun. It was really fun. It was a fun movie to watch in theaters. Like, there was definitely a lot of tension. I felt it definitely gained a lot from being in theaters. Like, oh my gosh, when she's walking down the stairs and you know what's gonna happen. Oh, it's just so horrible, and everyone's there. It was a pretty full theater too. I went with a lot of friends, and it was just a blast to see it. So, but like I think I might be a little more out on it than you guys are, to be honest at this point. So I'm interested to hear a little bit more about when or if we're gonna show it to our kids. So with that, Jesse, are you gonna show this to your kids?
Yes, I'm going to show this to my kids. I think it's probably going to be older. This movie's very intense. There's a traumatic pregnancy involved, or traumatic birth, children dying. It has a very dark, gritty feel to it. But I think, like I was saying, this is an entry-level horror movie. So, like, all right, I'm going to make a prediction about future years to come and our kids. I think this movie in particular is probably going to be like a gateway horror movie. And I genuinely think like kids who have seen this movie are going to be talking amongst each other like, oh yeah, my dad really watched A Quiet Place. Like, I think it'll be like an edgy kind of experience because this is like edgier than most movies you watch, unless you're seeing some hardcore horror movies earlier, in which case you're probably going to be well beyond this by the time you're like 14, 15. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard some dads say that they just like show their kids like Halloween and stuff
Oh, nice.
when they're like 5, which is like I can't comprehend doing that. But I'll wait till they're older, and I think this would be like a fun like, oh yeah, Dad's showing me something kind of forbidden that I haven't been allowed to watch before, but now I can. And I think it's going to be like a very exciting experience because I don't think prior to this they will have seen anything close to a post-apocalyptic horror family drama.
Are you sure? I mean, I feel like 28 Days Later might be, around 10 or something, right?
I think
that's a joke. It's a joke.
Well, yeah, I know that's a joke. But I think 28 Days Later could be like a follow-up to this if they're ever interested in wanting to, if they handled this movie well and wanted to know if there's anything else like a post-apocalyptic horror movie, because 28 Days Later is that.
Oh yeah.
I think it could help pave the way for movies like that rather than like scarring them and showing them those movies. Maybe this will scar them. I don't know. But I'd be willing to bet there's like enough real family substance here that it won't.
Yeah. Well, and you need to get some scars, right? Like if you don't get scarred a little bit, like you're just gonna have a thin skin. You got to get that thick skin from all the scarring. That's how it works, right?
And dads give the kids thick skin. Yeah.
Yes. As Calvin's dad would say from Calvin and Hobbes, it builds character.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, my kids are getting Mad Max Fury Road at age like 5. It's gonna be amazing.
That's great.
Oh,
what about you, Dom? Is this gonna be something you show your kids?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And as young as possible.
Okay.
Absolutely, this is gonna be one of those like, okay, you're ready. You're ready for a Quiet Place. We're watching it tonight. Hopefully that'll be around 12 or 13. I know that my younger brother was that age when he saw it, and I was sort of starting to like more intense movies at that age. If they're younger and they're ready for it, then absolutely. But I think probably around 12 or 13.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Maybe, maybe you could like work it in, right? Like, if you have a kid and then another one's on the way and they ask what pregnancy is like and birthing is like, you're like, well, do I have the movie for you?
Do I have the movie for you? Oh, that's great. This is what it's all like. Amazing. What about you, Letteney? Are you going to show this to your kids?
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes this movie have universal appeal is that it's really not that edgy. I think there's nothing that dark about it. I mean, there's no torture, there's no evil. It's really,
well, there's evil.
Sort of. I mean, it's sort of on par with a bear, right?
Monsters.
Right, but it's just like, it's like an animal attack. Like there's nothing sinister about it. It's just that they're very scary bears. Right?
It's like Alien.
Like it's animalistic.
That might run at you within seconds and kill you if you make a sound. Like it breeds this like.
Yeah, but I guess like what I mean is that the things for me at least that have been scarring the art that I've consumed are things like twisted, evil, psychological, horrible. There's nothing evil about a bear, right? A bear just wants to eat.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is on that level. So if you can handle a bear attack or a shark attack, this is like it's just that what I think makes this effective is that it's a very visceral experience. Like you really feel it. And that's what makes it scary. But there's nothing intrinsic about, in my mind, there's nothing intrinsic about the movie that is intrinsically horrifying. It's just that you feel it intensely because of how well the film is made.
That's interesting. So there's like two kinds of horror. There's the one that makes you like terrified to leave your house because like creatures could kill you, and there's the kind that makes you terrified of the people in the house with you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're terrified of yourself and the demons within.
Oh, there we go. That's my favorite kind. That's what I live. So, I don't know if I'm going to show this to my kids, guys. Like, I see what you mean. It's kind of entry-level horror, but I also kind of feel like these come around every 10 years. or 5 years or something, there's a new sort of movie like this. And I mean, maybe if there isn't by the time my kids are 12 or 13 or 14, like, yeah, we'll do this one. But I don't know. I kind of feel like it's not. There's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of problems that I have with this movie that make me kind of like, well, like, this is okay, but it's I'm going to say I feel like it's a little gimmicky as opposed to a little focused on. I don't know. That's my feeling about it. I don't have a strong desire to show it to them.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking about the plot holes later. But
yeah,
Mike,
sure.
do you have? I just have a question. Do you have like another movie that you would see as maybe similar to this one but better that you would want to show the kids, or just?
I mean, I kind of feel like Signs is a similar and better movie than this. Almost,
Yeah.
The plot structure is almost Signs here, and it's been a long time since I saw that, but it definitely like it's a very similar movie. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But like, that's not to say like I think this is a horrible movie. It was a fun movie to see in theaters, and I'm proud of Jim Halpert for making it.
Me too now.
But I don't know. I don't mean to like trash it. Like, but I kind of like
But
a
you
lot
want
of
to
people.
trash it.
A lot of people love this movie, and that makes me a little bit more like, well, why do you love it so much? You know?
I feel like you're attacking me right now, Mike.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just a little unclear. About
Underwhelmed.
Yeah, a little underwhelmed. And you know what? We're gonna get into that in a minute. But let's talk about our favorite scenes. So I think that we're probably gonna get into some spoilers with our favorite scenes, and then we're gonna really. I mean,
we're already pretty spoiler deep. I think.
We're already pretty spoiler deep here, but we haven't spoiled the spoil of the movie, like the super spoiler. Letteney, do you have a favorite scene?
Yeah. I guess for me, probably my favorite scene is the opening scene, and the reason is one of the reasons is that I think a lot of movies. So again, spoiler alert. This is the scene where Bo dies.
All right, we don't need spoiler alerts.
It has been spoiled. They've been warned.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a lot of movies out there, a lot of stories that build tension by putting children in danger. But there's a lot of movies that don't go to the extent of hurting children. And the movie crosses that line right at the beginning. And it tells us no one's safe in this movie. Because a tiny, innocent little boy could just get killed randomly. So I think that really sets the tone and ramps up the danger. And I think it's also just a really beautiful scene, cinematography, and the sound. And
it sets the stakes.
Yeah.
Very early, which is great. You're never guessing like, oh, what can they do? Yeah. Of course, like before that you are, but then it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, they can do anything.
Yeah,
this is what we're up against. Yeah.
It's cool that they show the monster, like, like speaking of Signs, where you don't even see the thing until like the end of the movie or midway through the movie. Here it's just like, at the very beginning, here it is, and you get kind of a blurry look at it, but you kind of know size and scale and what in capability.
And you see that, how tall it is and how skinny it is.
Yeah.
It's very long arms. Oh.
And it's like very obvious, okay, this is a monster.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And it's crazy fast.
And it slices people open almost immediately, I guess. Yeah.
So, one of the things I love about that opening scene too, Letteney, is even before we see Bo get taken by the monster, we get to see a bunch of these characters. Like we're able to see like the interactions and like the family dynamics that they have, which are just really beautiful, really cool to see. And that's I think what that's what I love about this movie in general is those family dynamics and like the way that they're very kind to one another. The way that John Krasinski's character is a good father to his children. And Evelyn is a good mother. Like it's very beautiful. I I was going to say that this was my favorite scene, and you know what? I'm going to still say it's my favorite scene too. I love it so much, like all the way.
Okay.
You know, oh
Good.
my gosh, like, and it does build up that like terror so badly with the rocket, you know, and she gives it to him, and you see him take the stupid batteries, like, oh my gosh, ugh. But. And you're like, oh, this kid's so stupid.
And I believe the sound of the rocket, that's the first real sound we hear in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Besides, it's a small sound when she catches it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But because the whole
yeah.
movie up to that rocket is so quiet, it's just a punch in the face. It's so shockingly loud.
Yeah. And then I love that moment. And then it's immediately undercut because then we go to Regan's point of view. We see Regan and there's nothing, just complete silence. And you're just seeing her reacting. And then you see her parents and just the look of utter shock and horror on their faces. And then the sound comes up and the music comes up. And then we hear and see the creature for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Dom, what about you? What's your favorite scene?
So my favorite scene, I think, is the opening scene is great, but my favorite scene I'm gonna have to go with. It's kind of hard to define because it's sort of a lot of scenes put together, but it's the scenes. So starting from when Evelyn starts to go into labor and ending with the fireworks, just that whole scene or a couple scenes put together. To me is the epitome of how to build tension and how to raise the stakes and build suspense. It's like everything is happening at in the worst place at the worst time under the worst circumstances, and it's like every moment it could be over, and it just keeps going and going and going, just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until finally the fireworks go off and she can scream in peace. It's so good. I love it.
That is a wonderfully when I first saw it, I thought she's gonna die.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought she was gonna just die there.
Well, especially since the way that scene is structured, she screams like right before the fireworks go off, right? And then we cut to John Krasinski's point of view.
Yeah.
So we don't know until he gets to the bathroom that she's still alive.
Yeah.
We kind of assume she's dead because she screamed before the noise.
At least with the way it was cut.
Yeah, I guess the way it was cut.
Yeah.
She I think she actually heard the noise and then screamed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cut for,
Yeah.
Reasons to make suspense. Yeah.
Cut to build the tension. A little ironic.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jesse? What's your favorite?
I've actually, should I just do one or I'm going to do all three. Okay, so there's a pair of scenes that go together, I think. And I think they're really cool. It's the old man screaming when they stumble across him on the road. And, the old man makes the most epic face ever. It's the most epic, build up to a scream. His whole face kind of scrunches up. He just becomes this hairy, wrinkly mess. And then, explodes in sound that you haven't heard in a long time. And this is juxtaposing it to, right beforehand, they had just been... John Krasinski and the son had just been having, this nice conversation for the first time in a long time by a waterfall. So I thought... Yeah, so it had been nice and peaceful, and then you're remembering, oh, this is actually a super dangerous world. And then immediately the old man dies, and they're like... Also, this always gets me, man. John Krasinski puts his finger up to his face and gets his nose on the way. And it always gets me a little bit. It's but I think it's kind of cool. It's he's so focused and scared about what's going to happen that all he knows is I need to get my finger up to my mouth and communicate. Please do not. Please
He's
do not say
shushing
anything.
so hard.
He's shushing as hard as you can shush without actually ever shushing.
Right.
He's shushing so hard, he's so focused on that he forgot where his nose was. I like that. I actually like that as a dramatic touch to that scene. I think that's kind of cool. I've grown to accept it.
Yeah, it is a very memorable frame too.
Yeah,
Like his squished nose.
just
with
like yeah,
Mm.
yeah, so great. And then later he does the same scream when he's saving Evelyn, or what's her name? Evelyn? No,
Regan
Regan.
and Marcus.
Yeah, you never hear their names. Yeah, he's saving his
No.
daughter, and it's funny because the son and him had just been talking about the daughter, Regan, right? And he had said, and he's asked his dad, like, "Do you still love her?" And he said, "Of course." And then he says, "You need to tell her that." And so, like coming back from that conversation, first opportunity he gets, basically, he tells her that he loves her, and then he proceeds to scream the same way the old man did to save her. And he doesn't just say he loves her; he says, "I've always loved you." That was really cool.
Yeah.
It's a powerful death scene. I think.
Oh
really
my gosh,
works.
yeah. Watching it, I was struck by how well it came off. Like I will, despite the fact that he can't say anything, like it was so strong. His I love you. I have always loved you. Is just so strong there, despite the fact that he can't say anything. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and I read that originally the plan was to not have subtitles for anything, and they realized at a certain point that they needed subtitles for when they're talking about the hearing aid because it's so technical. And I sort of think that if they didn't have the subtitles, that's a moment where you would have known immediately, like you would have gotten everything of what he's saying.
Yeah. I think.
Gosh,
you're right
that would have been
about
crazy.
Oh yeah, it just actually would have been a silent movie at that point.
Yeah.
I think they did a good call with the subtitles.
Yeah.
They could have dropped them out just for that scene. Even that would have been cool.
So, did anyone else finish the reading the script that Dom sent us?
I did
never
not.
even looked at it, so
Okay.
no.
So it's interesting that in the original script, the death of a child actually happens before the aliens come, and it's actually an older daughter. And in the script,
Right.
the father and the older daughter, she's like a teenager, and they're not communicating. And it's another case of he needs to say "I love you," but they're finally, like, the mother tells him, you need to say "I love you" to your daughter. And then there's a scene where they're driving back home, and he has a moment where he's about to say "I love you," and he lets it pass, and then their car gets like T-boned by a bus, and the older daughter dies. And the younger daughter, that's when she loses her hearing. So it's interesting that in the script, John Krasinski kind of redeemed that character, where it was so dark in the original script.
Yeah, because in the original script, his conflict is with the older daughter, and that transfers to the younger daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then by saying "I love you" to her, which is also true, he's finally getting to say "I love you" to his daughter that he didn't get a chance to. Whereas in this one, it seems like it's more simple and it's just the two of them.
Yeah. And it goes with the flow of the story a little. All right. Yeah. I like this way, way better than that. See, what you just described is more like going back to what Mike was saying, how you're saying like there's a movie like this every 5 to 10 years. And I think you're right that there is a kind of movie that's like this, but that's more what I'm expecting from those sorts of like 5 to 10 year movies. It's going to be like, there's going to be like a couple conflicts with the son and daughter, but this conflict turns out a little weirder than I had thought. She's far less angsty. Like she's definitely got angst, but she's not like setting things on fire. She's not like lashing out in violence or anything like that. She's just like frustrated, and turns out what she's frustrated about is that she thinks her dad doesn't love her, and that's literally it.
Well, and she's racked with guilt too, right? Like that's
but that's why she thinks that he doesn't love her because of the guilt. She thinks she's the cause of the death of her little brother, and she kind of is. So like, she's wondering, like, does my dad even love me? And that's a fair, reasonable. I think all of that is like a very reasonable thing to think and to act on. Even the way she acts on that, and like her most rebellious thing that she does in this movie, she goes over to the grave of her little brother and sleeps there for a while, right? And just lays there. Like that's her rebellion. That's as far, and she's like kind of snappy with her dad, but like she's not this dumb angsty teenager. She's just guilt ridden, and it really shows. So yeah, I really bought this whole relationship, and I'm so glad it wasn't just like, oh, I have a conflict with your older daughter, it's transferred to you, and no, it's very personal. This was a very dad relationship, right? I like you try not to transfer your feeling from one kid to another. You try to have individualistic feelings, and I've never seen a movie get that across like this one does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really true. I mean, especially like, and it's cool that they show that relationship with his son, and he's got a very different sort of thing with his son. And like, he angers his daughter when they go off on like the fishing trip. She wants to go with him. She's brave enough to go. The dad says, "No, I need to teach your brother like how to survive out here." Right, and that's like that individualized relationship, but it also shows like
Yeah.
her misunderstanding through like her own guilt, and him not understanding what she's feeling as well. That's why she's upset.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool that the two kids are actually different characters. It's not just that they do different things, it's that they are different. And so,
Yeah.
and their relationship with their parents is going to be different too, of course. So the father and the daughter, he's there, he's trying to pull her back. No, you can't do this. You need to stay home. You need to do this. You need to be with your mother. And then with his son, he's trying to lift him up and trying to encourage him and saying, yes, you can do this. You can, yeah, and you have to do this.
Yeah,
I really like that.
you can be brave.
All right, so I did say I had one more favorite scene. I'm just going to throw it out there real quick because I don't think it's going to be talked about that much anyway. It's the dancing scene. She just comes up to him and they put the headphones in, just like Letteney and I are right now. Yep.
Wait, are you listening to Harvest Moon right now?
You know it. Always. Yeah. But yeah, then it's just like this nice, sweet, tender moment. Like, you do have moments similar to this echoed throughout, but like theirs is the most tender, and it was really cool. Like, another thing that I really liked about this movie is it's not like everybody's like pining for the old days, and angsty that, they can't go to baseball games or whatever anymore. There's none of that in this. Whereas it's always in every other post-apocalyptic movie I know of. Instead, what they're trying to do is they're focusing on like trying to not just survive in this weird world, but trying to thrive in it. And this is an example of them finding true happiness in all this craziness that they have. And I thought that was really cool. Their happiness kind of echoes throughout their whole family, what they're trying to give their kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I noticed, Evelyn is teaching Marcus how to do his math.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, they're sort of hunter-gatherers and they're just surviving. But so like, why do you need math? But she's like, no, we need to actually teach them how to live and to live well. And I also noticed that the clothes that they're wearing in a certain way are functional, those sweaters look incredibly comfortable, but also Evelyn is wearing first a very nice purple dress, and then she's wearing a very nice green dress. So she's not wearing, survival clothes.
Yeah.
She's wearing nice clothes that she wants to be wearing. And that, so that's kind of another thing. And I guess also just the fact that she is having another kid anyway. It's been over like almost 400 years since their son died. 400 days.
400 They've been in there for a long time.
Yes. 400 days. And they're having another kid because they're trying to keep the family that they have and increase their family and just live well in this horrible world.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that kid. I think about having another baby. Like, that's pretty crazy, right? What do you I mean, that's obviously a big point of the movie is like they're choosing to have a baby in the apocalypse, and that's striking, right? I mean, I don't know, like that's like the biggest source of tension is the fact that they're going to have a baby. What do you guys think of that? Like,
I mean, it's weird when you first think about it or when you first see it, because again, that is very unlike most other post-apocalyptic movies. Because again, this would be, I think normally pregnancy would be the mark of just someone who can't survive, someone who's helpless. Like, think of Is there anybody in Walking Dead who ever gets pregnant?
Yeah.
Well, there's a little baby, right?
There's,
I guess she's born in
there,
first season.
Oh,
Like
right.
Judith or
Lori.
Edith or-
Lori gets pregnant.
Yeah,
Yeah, and she's helpless, and she actually dies because of childbirth.
right.
Spoilers for Walking Dead. After I say it, and then there's like
also
Lost.
Maggie and Glenn. Like, come on, guys. Like, oh, I guess, have you seen that far?
Nope, haven't even seen that far, but
Oh.
it's okay. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to.
Am I remembering?
Dude, I
this
never
right?
got to the main villain. I've never gotten to the main villain.
Oh, the baseball bat guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, never got there. I got to right before he shows up.
Yeah.
I
mean, that was
That's
my biggest
rough.
problem with that show, is exactly the opposite of what you're talking about, where, yeah, it seems like in this movie they've completely accepted their situation and they're dealing with it.
Yeah,
And that show is one long, depressing, why aren't things the way they used to be?
yeah,
Just sad Rick.
And that's for years.
So sick of sad Rick. Just get over it, man.
Stop being
Move
so
on.
sad, Rick.
There's so much of that. Or I'm also thinking of Lost, right? Where everybody's just so upset that they're on this stupid island and they're not back to where they used to be. And there's every episode there's a flashback to how things used to be.
Yeah.
And there is a pregnant woman on that one too, and she's just utterly helpless. And this woman, she's going around and in A Quiet Place, she's going around, she's doing chores. Like she gets caught in her situation, like while she's doing laundry, right? Or no, that's what sets up the situation with the nail that she later
Yeah.
step
Yeah,
on.
she's pulling the laundry upstairs,
Yeah,
and it pulls the nail up, and then she goes all the way upstairs onto the top floor.
yeah. Everything about this is, I think, like we were saying, pointing out with the clothes or whatever, that they're trying to thrive. They're trying to live a very good life, and to do that, and if you had planned on having kids, I think part of that, even post apocalypse, is carry on with that plan. You adapt. You don't stop your life just because something outside your control has happened. You just figure out how to adapt with this situation and keep thriving.
It's kind of interesting how they move out of their house, which I assume is just because it's so noisy. Lee at one point says you can't go down in the basement; it's too loud. But they stay on the property. They just move to the barn, and they just make the barn their new house. It's like you can probably kind of imagine that conversation. It's like, okay, we need to get out of the house. Let's just go to the barn. Let's do it. It's right there, but we'll make it our home. And that's just a beautiful encapsulation of how they are adapting, and they're keeping everything that they can, right? So they still have to do school. They're still, they're not just eating raw fish. They're actually preparing it and stuff like that, and they're dressing how they want to be dressing. But they're adapting to do what they have to live.
Yeah, using their ingenuity and their strength.
Yeah.
It's almost like I feel like they're doing better than they would have been doing otherwise in a certain way. Like they've taken this, and I mean, it's a beautiful life they're living, right?
Yeah, they're completely
Like-
self-sufficient, and they're
Yeah.
they're pretty much completely in tune with one another,
Yeah,
in sync.
yeah, super in sync. And it's so peaceful. Have you ever done like a silent retreat type thing, like where you're just silent for a couple of days?
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I with 3 children in the house, like there's something about that that's like, man, maybe I could just convince my kids to be quiet all the time. That would be.
What you need is monsters.
Yeah.
Convince
We
them
need
there
some
are
monsters around here.
Yeah, convince them. Say the monsters are going to eat you if you scream loud again.
I mean, I think you guys are making a case for showing this to your kids as soon as they can understand what's going on, because this is just like, we tried the quiet game, it didn't work. You guys are bad. This is what's going to happen to you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, going to show them like 5, 3
Yes.
and 5. There we go.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I thought about the house too. I thought like with the basement thing, he didn't want her to go down there. I was confused about why he didn't want her to go down there, because he
Me
goes
too.
down there and the wife goes down there. Oh wait, no. I figured it out. It's because he was working on her hearing aid. It was like a present. He was trying to figure out a hearing aid that would work for her. Because remember at the end, when she does go down there, she just sees that pile of hearing aids.
Mhm.
And so it was like he had a present in there for her. He had a surprise that he was working on. I think that's what it was. Not
Yeah,
that
but
she
that
would
wasn't a
make too much
surprise
noise.
because he was giving her hearing aids throughout the movie, right?
Yeah.
That to me just seemed like some poor screenwriting where they needed a reason for her to go down there and discover everything at the end. So there's an artificial reason to keep her out, but it didn't seem like there was a real plot reason.
Letteney, I think I might agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you too. I've never been sold on why she couldn't go down there.
Yeah.
Like, it's a basement and it's the quietest place ever. We've solidified the rules in this movie are if you go underground, you're safer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's less
In
sound.
fact, there's a headline we see in one of the newspapers that says "Get underground."
Get underground.
Yeah.
is like the advice for everyone.
But like, why aren't they underground though?
Well, where, how, where, I mean,
I mean, that
They ha-
basement is not tiny, I guess.
That's true. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, why is he telling her not to go into the basement? Why are they like why are they playing Monopoly like outside? You know, when
Yeah.
they like, why aren't they in the basement playing Monopoly?
Yeah, but I think in the original screenplay, they're living in the house, and
Yeah.
there's descriptions of the house where every single surface of the house is covered with layers and layers of soundproofing.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it seems like, and in the original script, they have a whole elaborate plan for when she's going to give birth that involves fireworks to cover up noise. They have a separate building that's extremely soundproof for the baby. So it seems like in the original script, they were a lot smarter about how they approached this situation.
well,
Interesting.
And in this movie, they're focusing less on the mechanics of how to survive and more on the family dynamics,
yeah.
which is more appealing. But
Yeah.
But also, like, if I don't know why the barn is quieter, but apparently it is.
which makes no sense because houses have insulation, which in addition to keeping in warmth also insulates sound. So a barn is just inherently less insulated.
I don't know. I've been to creaky old houses in the New York, Connecticut area, which is where I'm from. So I can
Yeah.
very easily imagine that house is really loud. And also, I noticed that there are like footprints painted on the floors, and I
Yeah.
took that as like that's where you can step. You can't step anywhere else because it's so
Yeah.
creaky.
Yeah, it was
I-
a big.
Yeah.
I think that is right. Maybe it's because there's a basement that it's super creaky. Right, the floorboards are creakier and the barn isn't because there's no basement.
So I was a little confused about locations in this movie too. The basement is in the house, right?
There are
Yeah.
two basements.
There are two
There's
basements,
one
yeah.
basement in the house, and that's where all of like the electronic equipment is,
And the washer and dryer.
and yeah, and the washer and dryer. And
So that's where the nail is?
nail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's the basement in the barn, which is where they sleep down there?
Do we see them sleep? I don't remember.
We see
We don't.
Regan has a bed in the barn, and it's not in the basement because she
Okay.
throws. That's like her area
Yeah.
of the barn, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess when they're running back with the baby into the barn, they pull a mattress over a hole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they dug a basement under the barn to keep the baby.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Well,
sure. Well, I mean,
They're-
I don't know if they dug it or if it was already there, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a basement in the barn.
I think it's already there.
Okay.
I don't think you can do a whole lot of like work with tools around here.
Yeah.
All right. The barn, I think, is a giant plot hole then because, like, I think the barn would be creaky too.
Well, it also just has porous walls, right? Like it's not. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not. I don't think it's that important. I mean, the super common complaint you hear is, why aren't they living by the waterfall? You know?
Yeah.
No, I don't agree with that at all. Like,
Yeah, that's the one
Like-
thing that my dad latched onto, and he was like, I just don't get it. And I was like, to me, to answer that, you just have to bring up all the other things we've been bringing up. It's like they're not going to move everything because they don't have
Right.
to. They have the barn, and they just have to work. They have to work harder to adapt what they already have, but they're not going to just leave completely and completely start over because they don't need to.
yeah, like I guess they could have some tents set up at the waterfall, and then they would go walk to their farm and farm there, and then walk all the way back at night. But that, like, it seems better. Like if they live next to the waterfall, they'd be living as hermits because you can't farm right there. You can't establish new farmland. I think you kind of have to silently plant
probably.
in fields that are already established, right?
I wonder how they deal with like tilling the fields. You know, that would be tough, man. Everything, like, the more I think about it, the more it's like, how do you do that? I guess you could do it with your bare hands. Like, you could just like dig quietly to like make the rows or whatever, and like you put the seeds in very carefully. You could do it.
And
you could also just like put in like fishing stuff at the river and like build things. I don't know. I think that you could do it. I think it would make sense. Like, sure, they don't want to leave their farm. I get it, but I think you could make it work.
Yeah, they could have. I think.
All right,
it might.
I'm gonna be like technical. I think it's actually impossible to do what they're doing. Like, I'm not sure if this is actually possible in the slightest. I think it's reasonable enough. There's a reasonable. What's there's a term for this, right?
Reasonable.
Suspension of disbelief.
There's a plausible suspension of disbelief here. It's like, okay, like everything that happens in this movie, like I know that's impossible, but I can come up with like at least 5 little plausible explanations. Like, yeah, maybe they're using their hands to till the earth. I mean, not likely. Probably can't do that, but it sounds okay. And for me, that's what makes the movie keep working. Even though I recognize stuff like that happening over and over again, I keep on thinking of like, my brain is at rest. It's like, okay, there's 5 or 6 things that could possibly work right here, and then I continue on.
Yeah. So that's the big question that I have about this movie. It's like, okay, there's plot holes in this, and like we could go through and be like, well, like what about this or what about that? Like, how do the aliens hear when they make so much noise? You know, like how do they run around when all they do is hear, and like they don't have echolocation. But
I thought they do have echolocation. I thought that's like the ticking, kind of clicking sound. And you can kind of see like their ears, like their ear holes are vibrating. That's what I was interpreting that as. If they had that, they'd be able like bats. Right? Bats are able to sense like everything. Did you guys just froze for me? Oh fuck.
Okay. Mike is.
Damn it to fuck.
Oh, look at that. Look, it's Sleepy Mike. Sleepy Mike. I really wanted him to finish the sentence. I wanted to know what he thought.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He was too loud, man.
Watch the next frame. It's just going to be an alien. All right. Hey.
Oh,
hey.
Hey, I refreshed.
Okay. It's okay. I really wanted to hear what you were saying about the plot holes and such. Because
I guess I can't remember how I started this, but basically, like the question I have with any sort of movie like this is like, okay, you're gonna have to suspend disbelief at some point, right? Like you know, in The Martian, right? Like you got to suspend your disbelief and be like, yes, it is possible for a guy to go to Mars or whatever. Like with this, you got to suspend your disbelief and you got to say like, okay, it is possible for these people to live here with these aliens for like over a year and survive and thrive well. but like I feel like that's a question or something that that any work of art, any work of fiction, like makes of you. Like, hey, like, will you suspend your disbelief for this movie? Like these are the ground rules. You have to accept them, or not. And if you don't accept them, it's not going to work for you. That's like any work of fiction at all is going to make that request.
Mhm.
It's going to make that request for you to enter the world. And some are very easy to enter, and some are very difficult to enter. And I guess like the question that I have about this is, does this deserve our suspension of disbelief?
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it does. I think this movie would have been real. All right. So, I don't think it goes as far as it could have in explaining away like how their lives actually work in the potholes that I think are fairly rampant throughout. Just about with anything, like how did they get the sand there? Where does the sand come from? How much do they have available? Are they using shovels? Those are loud.
Well, it's by the river, so it's okay. Probably.
That riverbed isn't sandy; it's muddy.
Yeah, I'm not sure like where that's coming from. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how. Like, how did they get like corn into the silo? That has got to be pretty loud, right? I'm not like. I think you need a lot of equipment for a farm this big, and all of that. It's super loud. Like,
I
don't
assumed
think this
that corn was just there before.
It's been 400 days. I don't think it lasts that long.
Well,
Really?
so I keep going back to the script, but in the script, it's a silo full of rotting corn.
Yeah.
So it's from the last harvest.
Oh,
And so she's drowning in rotting corn,
Oh, it's
which is super gross. Yeah.
grody. Okay, so maybe that's rotting dried corn or whatever. And this stuff, so they have fresh cornfields. What are they doing with that corn? What are they doing with all the food to survive then? Like, I actually don't have answers to a lot of questions of this movie, but I've got some, you can come up with some plausible half-assed or better answers for all of it while you're watching. And I think that's all you need for any story, well, especially for a movie that's only an hour and a half long, for it to function, for it to work. Like, you just need to come up with okay, that's for your brain to quickly say, all right, that's fine, moving on, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's enough like visual cues and stuff to how they're operating for you to like inference how they're living. I think you can easily say, oh, they came up with a way to till the field. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, silence, because they have enough ingenuity to do that. They seem like the type of people who could.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you. And also the thing that I would answer that question with most often is to say that I think the reason that this family has made it so far is because they know how to sign, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to use words at all. They can. I imagine that they just stopped talking on day 2 or whatever once they actually figured it out. So it's very plausible to me that this family was able to figure out how to do almost anything. And because they were signing but already, and like we said earlier, they're very much in sync with one another.
Yeah.
They already are attached in that way, and they're already able to pay closer attention to things and notice things and hear things and look at things. And that's just something that they had anyway, and that's kind of their superpower that they've used to survive this far. And just based on that primarily is the reason why I am able to suspend my disbelief.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Dom, 1 second. Can you move a bit back from the mic? I'm getting a lot of punches.
Yes, I can.
With your plosives.
Is that good?
Yeah. I think that's a little better.
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry to
No, you're good.
say that right off your point. That's cool. I guess that makes sense. But I guess the question, a further question I have is like, okay, yeah, you can come up with explanations for most of the things here, maybe even everything. But like, does it deserve for me to do the work for it? I guess that's further the question here. Like you can come with an explanation for why most of this stuff where you're like, oh, I can see like how this is reasonable in this way, but there's also a matter of deserve that goes on with it. It's like that's a whole lot of mental exercise that I got to do here to figure out how they can farm. Like they should be figuring out how to farm, not me. Isn't that the point of the story?
I mean, yeah, but you don't have to solve it. Like I said, at least for me, when I watch a movie like this, I'm satisfied with half-assed answers. Like, okay. I think, like, oh, I think I could probably get, like, halfway there. Maybe the hands. You know? And you can think that, and you're like, wait, will that really work? Yeah, I'm sure they thought of something like that. Right, and that's enough for me. But, like, so, honestly, I think, like I was saying, I don't want this movie to draw out for another hour just explaining how they farmed. I think that would have been really boring. I
really want Quiet Place Part 3 to just be about the farming. That's it. Like 3 hours of farming. Terrence Malick's going to make it. It's going to be Days of Quiet is what it's going to be called.
No.
The Tree of Quiet.
The Tree of Quiet. Yeah, there we go.
The Quiet Tree.
No, I guess I feel like, okay. So that's a good point. Yeah, go ahead.
So when I first saw this movie, I thought it was perfect, and I've seen it twice in the last couple months because I saw it for this podcast, but also I rewatched it before I saw the second one, and I think my opinion has changed a lot. I think this is like a few clicks of the dial away from being a really bad movie. Like I think there's a lot of plot holes that really don't make sense, and I think that. Have you guys seen The Happening with
no?
What's his name? Marky Mark. Anyways, it's a universally reviled movie.
It's amazing.
It's
the best movie I've ever seen.
And like I keep picturing Mark Wahlberg in The Quiet Place and how bad he would be in this.
Oh, no.
And like it seems like the emotions are really good in this movie, but they could easily be melodramatic and over the top and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like even the climax of the movie where he's signing "I love you" to his daughter, with a slightly less good actor, that could be real cheesy.
Yeah.
And like the movie, a centerpiece of the movie is like the Chekhov of all Chekhovs. The nail is like it's so telegraphed.
It's so in your face. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like watching it for this podcast, it's sort of clever the way they do exposition with the newspaper headlines, but then they also sort of hit you over the head with it, and it's way too repetitive. And there's things like he has a whiteboard that says what is their weakness. Like, come on, no one would write that.
It's like, what do we need to do? Survive.
Yeah.
Number 1, survive. On the whiteboard in case we forget. It's there.
So I think like this movie could easily be really bad. And I think the only reason it's not is that one, the emotions seem really, really true and honest.
Yeah.
And you really feel them. And two, it's such a visceral experience. Like I was listening to some podcasts about this, and I don't think I saw it in the theaters, but people were talking about the theater experience and how like people eating popcorn would like couldn't even eat the popcorn because you're on the edge of your seat, like the tiniest sound. And it seems like that's what makes the movie deserving of, in my mind, deserving of our suspension of disbelief, is that it's this really powerful, honest experience. That if you can tap into that, it's that in and of itself is worth it, I think.
Yeah, there's a visceral experience, but the part of the visceral experience is that you really care. Like I care. Yeah. I care a lot about this family, and I want them to all succeed.
Yeah.
Right. And because I think you're right. This could very, very easily be a really cheesy, really melodramatic, really angsty movie. But it's my opinion that the movie neatly sidesteps almost all of that when it could. I mean, okay, I guess their conversation at the waterfall, to me, that's still a little cliche and little cheesy, but I still think that functions. It still ends up working because
if it's real, it's a real conversation.
It's still a real conversation. Yeah,
just because like angst is cliche or whatever, because something's cliche doesn't mean it's not real. It's just they avoid the cliche, like over the topness of the emotions. I think that. I think that's what you're driving towards, right?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that John Krasinski and Emily Blunt are married really helps with the authenticity of the emotion in this movie.
Yeah. Well, the authenticity of the family, like that's what this movie is about, the family, so much more than it is about, like, I don't know, the technicalities of how they're surviving. It's about watching a real family survive or like exist. It's like, this is how they would be if there weren't monsters, I feel like, right? Like, this is just how you act.
Yeah. Actually, this family is so strong that Mike, going back to your original question, like, why should we suspend our disbelief for this movie? I think the reason why is just for the family. You know, the plot is fine. The plot, you know, whatever. It's this family and wanting them to survive that I am willing to say I don't care about the plot holes. I love these characters in this story so much that I want to believe that what they are going through is real.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm okay with that. So I was kind of being devil's advocate a little bit. I feel like I feel mostly the same way. There's one request that it asks of me that I just have so much trouble with, which is like the birth. Because that, man, like the birth of the kid, like that, I mean, it does the same thing that all movies do, which is her water breaks and then like she starts having the baby immediately. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like, and then like she has a baby within like a couple of seconds, dude. Like, and her scream is drowned out by fireworks. I don't know. Like the thing's right there. Like it's asking me to suspend like major disbelief about, I think, 3 separate things all at once. And that's a lot. It's hard. It's really hard. I really want to.
Yeah.
But it's really hard.
Oh, I agree with that one. Yeah, I don't buy that at all. That's definitely, yeah, I think that's my number one. Like, no, that could never happen. Like, I don't know. I remember, like, I think when the second kid was born and like we were in the recovery ward, you know, my son was already born or whatever, and you could hear the labors going on above us. I could just hear screaming. And it's like, yeah, and it goes on for a really long time. It's not one scream. It just keeps happening over and over.
Yeah.
No way. No way is this happening in this movie. And I know well, I think one loophole that I like to come up with is that, you know, the monster's already out of the room because of the firework, and it's far away, and it's being drowned out, and at that point, like, pursuing John Krasinski and his kids. So it's distracted.
That's true. Yeah, they give it a good attempt at least. And whether or not I'm suspending my disbelief for it is like, that's my problem. Not theirs at this point, I guess.
I definitely have disbelief, but I have to purposely suspend it for that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally did not have to because I am not. I've not undergone this personally, and I have no idea how it works. Pretty much, but also I also noticed that I also noticed that of course. One of the creatures comes back almost immediately. So I like to think that maybe it could have run out of the room, found out where the fireworks were, and then heard her screaming again, and then come right back immediately. Because when he carries her out and into the barn, it's right there again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fireworks seemed like they were pretty far away, so it runs away and then comes back. So it's an unspecified amount of time. So I don't know. And movie time always kind of is messy anyway. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I guess we don't have a clear idea of how long the fireworks show was, right?
Yeah.
We don't have it
couldn't have been too long, but
we also don't have a clear idea of how long she's in labor, because she goes into labor while they're walking in the middle of the road and it's still daylight. By the time they get back, it's pitch black. So it's at least been a couple hours. They make it seem like it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, I don't know. Maybe it actually has been hours. So, again, there's half-assed answers I can give myself for that scene. Still not good enough for me, but I can still do that.
All right. So that's our little bit of a bridge too far for most of us, but like we're okay with it. We're accepting it. It's still a beautiful family. It's still like an incredible family drama.
Mhm.
So I've got one other thing that I want to know what you guys think about this. So like the end of the movie, the very end of the movie, like John Krasinski's dead, and that was beautiful, right? Like the way he sacrifices himself for his kids is awesome. But then when the daughter figures out how they can defeat these aliens, like how did that work for you guys? Like, did that make sense? Did it get there? Did you like it?
I think it made sense in the moment at the end, but now that but then when that happens, you're thinking back to earlier in the movie when there were the scenes with her and the monster when she was like doing this, holding her hand up to it, and I sort of watching it this time around, I was like, wait, like why is she putting her hand on her thing? So it makes sense at the very end.
Oh,
when
yeah.
she does it because she knows kind of how it works at that point. But it seemed like too convenient that she just happens to put her hand up there and it happens to work, and then she notices that.
Yeah,
So what do
I
you guys
thought
think
her
about
putting
that?
her hand up to her head was there was feedback from the monster, and that was causing her pain.
it was like brain pain.
Oh, okay.
Like
Okay.
like her device was picking up some kind of signal, like some kind of a
Feedback loop.
feedback from the monster.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
It was like the different frequencies were slamming into each other and
Nice.
causing major
Um,
pain.
Yeah. Major pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all right. What, Mike? It sounds like you have a beef.
No, I don't. I love the end. The end is awesome.
Oh,
it's
nice.
so great.
Okay.
I thought it was amazing. I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask like if you guys also loved it. Like she figures because she's like listening to this is the third time it's happened, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The third time. And then she realizes like she's looking at it. She's like, it's freaking out. It's not attacking us, and I'm getting like this crazy buzz. She's like, wait, this has happened a couple times before, and then she slams it in, and there's the shotgun, boom, and of course, like any good movie, it doesn't actually die until you blow its head off.
Yeah.
It's just so great. It's like such a release of tension. I loved it.
It's this beautiful catharsis,
Yeah.
especially to just see Evelyn's like little smirk on her face when she's like pumping the shotgun again. It's like,
Yeah.
hell yeah. And then it ends, and I remember watching it and be like, what? But all the other monsters. Oh, I bet in part 2 it's going to show how they all died. No.
Yeah, I was listening to an episode of the Big Picture podcast. And they were interviewing John Krasinski about the movie, and he was saying that originally they didn't show Evelyn killing the monster; that it just cut to black earlier. And then someone on his team said the audience needs the catharsis of seeing the monster die,
We do need that.
so
That's
he put
a
it
good
in for
call.
that reason. Yeah, because it seems like you could just have the moment of discovery, and then they know what to do, and then cut to black then. But
Yeah.
it's so much more satisfying
But
to have that shotgun. And
Well, yeah, you need that moment because, like, he died, right? And he was, like, the guy everybody was leaning on. But then it becomes very clear, once it's Evelyn and Regan right there, that they can actually all save themselves. Like, you need to actually see that happen, though.
Mhm.
They've taken what he can do and pushed it even further to do what he couldn't. Yeah, you need that. You need to show that there's a hope for them, because if they can't push the envelope further than he could, then there's no chance they can survive, right? Because they can't just keep on living the life that they were living now that he's dead. They were so perfectly in sync. It's like a cog the wheel is missing. So you need to show that they're still able to function otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also just another thing about the ending. I love the exact moment that it ends, where the movie ends on, the pumping of the shotgun, because like we were saying, it could have ended too soon, before you see that, and it could have dragged it out for another 10 minutes, right? She could have.
Mhm.
There could have been a big long action scene
Yeah,
where they
could
took
have
out
been
all of them.
Very Tarantino-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then there could have been another 5 minutes or so where where the movie's like cooling down, because that's kind of how most movies are. They introduce the characters in Act 1, and then in Act 2 things get worse, and it's a slow build up to Act 3, and everything explodes, and then you spend 5 or 10 minutes to cool down. But this movie it reaches the highest point and then it cuts it off there, and I like that. I think it's really refreshing. Another movie that does that insanely well is Whiplash. It just ends on a high note, and there's no need to have a dialogue scene after that. That's all you need.
Ooh. I'm not sure if that's a high note. Can't wait to have you on for that one.
Ooh, okay.
That's gonna be a good one.
I just mean
That's cool.
in terms of the structure of the movie and the intention.
Yeah. You're right.
Oh no, it's a happy ending, man.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool the restraint that's shown with this to not just make it like it's only an hour and a half. They could have added a whole other 10-minute sequence, and it wouldn't have been too long, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like in terms of like sheer movie length, but it would have been too much. So I appreciate the restraint here.
Yeah, I think it would have felt too long, because I can't think of anything else that they should have added or shown that they didn't. So then it would
The
have been
farming,
still,
the farming could have taken an hour.
the farming, of course, yeah. The
But
sand.
other than that, how they, I really want to know about the sand. Like I'm honest, like I'm on tenterhooks for part 3 where they show us the sand.
The sand pit. We found Dad's sand pit. Why did he keep this hidden for so many years?
He hoarded the sand.
I don't know.
Yeah, we always called Dad the old sand hoarder. Mom always said it'd be stupid. And then the apocalypse happened, he said, look at it now, kids.
Lee was a great guy, but he had this weird thing with sand. I don't understand. He would just drive out to the beach on weekends, just fill up his truck with sand and drive it home. He did like 4 times a day. Doesn't make any sense. But now it does.
You'll thank me later. Oh, man.
All right. So the final question I really have for you guys is, why the hell are they playing Monopoly? Like, why are they playing Monopoly? And they know 5 people, right? And then 4. And they decide that Monopoly is the board game that they're going to take from the store and bring home and play. They knit little pieces so that they can play it. They are obsessed with Monopoly. These people are addicts. Monopoly addicts. Why are they playing Monopoly in the like? This is the way. Like, there have been people who have killed their family members over Monopoly. Like, what? This is a game that supports capitalist principles, but these guys are like, nothing about them playing. And apparently, in the first script, it has Monopoly. So they just no one. It went through multiple rewrites, and no one was like, guys, like, this should be something else. They should play like Uno, or no, that's not a good idea. Like Hearts. Like let's have them play Hearts. Like, I don't know, like a card game.
I think cards are tough because
Shuffling.
Yeah, shuffling.
Shuffling. Okay, but I mean, like, there's a bunch of games that you could play. That
I guess you could shuffle
Okay.
by just putting the cards on the table and just moving them around.
Yeah, okay, you could
Just
do
quiet ways to
that.
shuffle.
You could do that. Yeah, I guess any sort of card game is doable. Maybe they do play card games. Maybe we just saw them one day they were playing Monopoly, and they're like, we haven't played this in a while.
Am I the only person that actually likes Monopoly?
I love Monopoly.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
I used to love Monopoly. I've gotten into a lot of fights with my brothers about that one. Yeah.
I love it because I'm really good at winning it, and I
Yes.
don't like playing it with people
I'm very
because
patient.
they don't like me winning. I also don't like losing when I do lose. Like, this is what I mean. Like, I know this tension personally.
I don't know. Like, what other games should the kids take? They can't take. Oh no, you can't take Mousetrap. That's off the list. You can't take Trouble. The one with the bubble thing.
No Boggle.
No Boggle, yeah.
Oh, no Boggle. Yeah. Yeah. There's not a whole lot you could do here. I guess you could have Risk
Catan?
with a. You could take Catan. Yeah. Again, you would have the little fluffy pieces.
Yeah, you can
I
do
think
fluffy
the appeal
pieces.
with Monopoly is more just that there aren't that many pieces. It's mostly board, and then
Mm,
it's just like you have your piece, right? There's no putting stuff together constantly, and there's no like Risk has a lot of little pieces,
that's true.
so
Well,
That's
that would be
true.
run
kind of
into a
hard
lot of
to
fluff balls.
It would
substitute.
be hard. But there's a good deal of pieces in Monopoly though. Like you've got cards in Monopoly. You've got like the chance and the community
Yeah.
chest cards. You got to shuffle those a little bit. You got all that paper money. Like money gets all over the place. I feel like the money is frustrating. At
They
Did
were
you
least.
pretty
send
quiet
them?
with it, though. They were quiet with it, so it worked.
She sees real money.
Sees real money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gee, I wonder if they were ever like, Dad, can you go to the bank and get us real money for Monopoly?
Well, didn't they do that in Zombieland? Where
Yeah.
they're playing in like Bill Murray's house and they're playing with real cash.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's
Gotta
awesome.
rewatch that one. But also,
Okay.
I do like the Monopoly scene, too, because it's just like the dancing scene or the teaching math scene. It's like them, actually kind of enjoying life, like finding some ways to thrive there. And then also, I think my favorite like facial expression in this movie is after they knock over the lamp and John Krasinski runs over there, and he just has this look like, I can't f***ing believe we're gonna die because of fucking Monopoly. He's like so angry about it.
Yeah.
And he can't say anything. And it's like, man, I feel you. That is exactly how I feel right now. That is how I would feel too. It's amazing.
Gosh, he is such a dad. Like that's such a dad face too, and like such
Yeah.
a dad experience. Just like I can't say these words out loud, but I'm feeling some language.
I saw it written all over his face. It's so great. It's so funny.
Oh, that wasn't a real serious question, but I'm glad that you guys took the time to.
I'm glad we answered it
To
in a
explain.
very serious
Thank you.
way.
Yeah.
Thank you
Of
for
course.
answering it seriously. Do you guys have anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
I did just want to point out a quick little tidbit that the filmmakers accurately predicted that 2020 is going to be the worst year of all time. Because this movie came out in 2018, and they were like, oh, we'll just set it in 2020 and 21. That'll be fine.
Wait, okay, I have a question about when this takes place. But the question comes from the next movie, so I guess I'll ask it then. Because one of the storefronts makes me think that maybe it's not. But never mind, because it's not in this movie. But yeah,
Okay.
it's the end of that statement. Well, if Jesse, Letteney, do you guys have anything else you wanna add or ask about?
Mike, has this risen? All right, so it doesn't seem like you. It seems like you enjoy the movie as like a middle of the road movie, but not as that great. Has this changed your opinion at all, or has it stayed basically the same?
I don't know. I feel like the jury's still out. It's amazing to me how many people love this movie. And like everyone from my mom to Dom to like it's crazy to me that my mom loves this movie. Because she's not into gore and horror. Although lately, like she's been telling me about some of the shows she's watching. It's very surprising. I think there's a lot about it that's really beautiful and really wonderful. Like watching them, and you know what? Let's jump into the last question and let's let it breathe a little bit. You know, is this a dad movie? I want to talk about if it is, like why it is or why it isn't. Like what about it makes it a dad movie? And I think you got Jesse. I feel like you might say yes, it is.
Yes, it's a dad movie. I mean, like,
Why is it a dad movie?
Oh, for lots of reasons. One, this is very much about like being a dad in the apocalypse, right? And not just being a dad, being a very good dad. Like we've got, Rick, he's not that great of a dad. Let's be honest. Rick from Walking Dead.
Oh, he's not a
He
bad
shows
dad.
Carl a lot.
He shows Carl. Yeah.
He's trying. He's trying
He's
real hard.
Yeah, but he's not like thriving and succeeding like John Krasinski is in this movie.
Mhm.
Like this is the best dad I've seen, not just in a post-apocalyptic movie, but maybe in like a lot of movies in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'll say that this is great dad portrayal. It's like this portrayal of a dad is something that I do want to show my kids. And I do think this will function as a very good entry level horror movie. Um, I think I think you could go a lot worse than this, and I'm not sure if you could do a lot better with entry level horror. Like Mike, you mentioned Signs, and I think that's another good one. But I don't think there's a whole lot of movies in that space that exist, at least that are good. And I think this is genuinely good. It has like strong like moral character I can show my kids and be proud of. It has that tensity you can expect from a real thriller movie that I don't find in some other thriller movies. So like I'm happy that this experience with these sort of morals and this world kind of exists. It's a weird blend, and I haven't really seen a whole lot of it before. So yeah, I'm happy it exists. I enjoyed this on my own, and I want to show it to my kids, and I'm looking forward to that. So because of all that, I call it a dad movie.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Well, Letteney, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with probably everything Jesse said. I think this is a dad movie in the same way that To Kill a Mockingbird is a dad movie, but sort of in a different way. That
Please explain.
in the same way, but not the same way at all.
So I think in both cases, it's an example on screen of an exemplary dad. But whereas I think in A Kill a Mockingbird, it's focusing on the aspect of fatherhood, of teaching and giving life lessons and building character. And this is focusing on the aspect of dad that is protecting and caring and supporting. So it seems like they're sort of reflecting two different aspects of fatherhood. But in both cases, it's an example to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. I think I agree
Makes
with
sense. And what about you, Dom?
You could probably guess, but yes, absolutely. This is a dad movie. It basically fulfills all of my requirements and like any requirement that I can think of for it being a dad movie. It's a movie that I've watched and enjoyed with my own dad, and it's, like I said, a movie that I'm very excited to show to my kids. It's also a movie that I will watch anytime by myself or with anyone. And yeah, it's an entry level horror movie that's done very well, and it's a visceral experience. It's also, for me, like I said, a sort of a slice of it's something that I can remember very clearly and say, oh, this is what I was watching in my first year of college. And also, like we were saying, it's about fatherhood and it's about this family. And it's about a dad who does, I think the most dad thing possible is that he sacrifices himself for his kids.
Yeah.
Which is just beautiful and perfect. And yes, it's a dad movie.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Negative.
I'm struggling here, guys. I'm really struggling. Like, okay, I agree with you guys completely. Like, oh my gosh, John Krasinski portrays an incredible father. It's something that, like, I want to be this kind of a dad. You know, like, I want to be this kind of a man. It's not just a dad; he's a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like part of that is the fact that he is a good father. That's what it means to be a man. It's to be good at what you do, and to be patient, and to take the time to do it well, in everything, and he does, and it's incredible. This like the building of the life that, like, you get this sense, and this is one of the things that I think that I really love about the movie is the sense of a full life that it gives with just an hour and a half picture of like the most stressful period in their lives. You get this real sense of a long, caring, and really intentional life that they've built. So because of that, I'm like, yeah, like this is a dad movie, and I want to show it to my kids because of that portrayal. And I mean, I wonder, like, Jesse, when you were talking about how it's like Signs, but you haven't really seen such just like a solid portrayal of a family, like a good family, a good father, a good mother, good kids, in the movies, especially like in a horror movie. It's true. It's true. You know, it's got good family values, right? But it doesn't do it in a way that's like super cheesy. It's not cheesy. It's good. It's done well. even Signs, while it's got, you know, a good message and everything, and an incredible sort of like providential twist at the end, the same way that this does. The family's like a little messed up. Like things aren't great for them.
The uncle's a little crazy.
Yeah, and the dad's a little crazy too. And the daughter's a little crazy.
Remember when he eats the kids? You know what? We're going to do this another time.
You know, he eats them whole. It's wild.
No, he eats the kids' dinner. That's what I was going to say. All right.
Yeah, when he eats the kids for dinner in Signs, it's wild.
Yes.
I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Yeah, that twist at the end when Mel Gibson turned out to be Hannibal Lecter. It was such a good twist.
And Hannibal Lecter ended up being an alien all along? It's wild.
Is that the extended director's special edition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So
It's actually the sequel, Signs 2.
Signs 2. 2 signs, 2 signs.
Two signs. The Signing.
Oh,
That's a weird crossover between The Shining and Signs.
so you know what? I think I talked myself into it. Yeah, this is a dad movie. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to show it to my kids. I think like if it's right. Like I don't have a strong desire to show my kids horror. Like I don't think that it's not a genre I have any love for myself. Like I've enjoyed movies in it. I guess I really love zombie movies. But like other stuff, I don't know. I guess I do. I don't know. I don't know if I've got a strong desire to show it to my kids, but I do think this is a dad movie. It's something that definitely, I mean, it's about a dad. It's about a good father. And because of that, it's a dad movie. It puts it on a bit of a different level though, than something that is like my movie as a dad. Like, I don't know, like Tombstone, for example. Like that's a dad movie that I love wholeheartedly, and it's a little ridiculous. And I can't wait to see it with my kids. I don't really care if they like it, because I like it, and that's all that matters, kind of. But I also want them to see it, to like sort of have it or whatever. With this, like it's probably got better sort of morals or whatever. But I'm not as like, oh, like I love this movie so much, and I want you guys to see it.
But you're saying objectively it's a dad movie, but it's not one of your personal favorites.
Yeah, I guess I'd say like I think there's like 3 things that can make something a dad movie. It's something that is important educationally. It's something that you personally love as a father, and as a man and whatever. And it's something that has like a good portrayal of fatherhood, of manhood, of something like that. And this only has one of those. There's movies that have all 3. And this, I feel like this doesn't have all 3. So that's it. That's all my long-winded way of saying it makes it, but only by one of my personal 3 things.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, we all agree it's a dad movie.
So it's a dad movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome. Well,
It's a quiet dad place.
it's a quiet dad. It's a quiet dad. That's awesome.
It's especially at the end when the dad's dead.
Quiet dad plays forever. Well, with that, do you guys have anything more you want to talk about with Quiet Place?
Not much other than to say I can't wait for A Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh yeah.
Whenever we record and do that one.
Whenever we do that one. Well, with that, in that case, from all of us here at Not Your Father's Movies, I'm Mike.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Letteney.
I'm Dom.
Good night.